Jamal sat on a bench in the park. He was 16 years old. He was bright and ambitious. His friends laughed and joked around him. They tossed a basketball back and forth. The sun was shining and the day felt good. They were enjoying their time together. Suddenly, a police car pulled up. The sound of the siren cut through the park. Jamal's heart sank. He had seen too many stories about police and young black men. 2 officers stepped out of the car. They looked serious. Jamal felt a knot form in his stomach. The officers walked toward the group. One officer, a tall man with a stern face, pointed at Jamal and his friends. He shouted, "You boys are loitering here. Move along." Jamal felt his friends tense up. They exchanged nervous glances. One by one, they began to scatter. They ran in different directions, leaving Jamal alone. He didn't want to run. He wanted to stand his ground. Jamal took a deep breath. He looked at the officers. "We're just playing basketball. We're not doing anything wrong," he said. His voice was steady, but inside, he felt fear. The tall officer moved closer. "You think you can talk back to me?" he said, his voice low and threatening. The other officer stepped forward too. They were now just a few feet away from Jamal. Jamal felt the tension rise. He could see the anger in their eyes. "I just want to know what the problem is," he replied, trying to stay calm. The second officer, shorter and broader, laughed. "The problem is you think you can hang out here without trouble. You need to leave." Jamal shook his head. "We have the right to be here. We're not breaking any laws." The officers exchanged looks. The tall officer stepped even closer. "You're asking for trouble, kid? You better watch it." Jamal felt his heart race. He could sense the aggression in their posture. He knew this could go wrong quickly, but he refused to back down. Then, in a moment of instinct, Jamal pulled out his phone. He wanted to record what was happening. He wanted to show the world the truth. "I'm recording this," he said. The tall officer's eyes widened. "Put that away. Give me your phone," he shouted. He stepped closer again, his hands outstretched. Jamal tightened his grip on the phone. "No, I have the right to record," he said, trying to sound strong. But inside, he felt the fear creeping back. The officers moved in closer. Jamal's hands shook slightly. He could feel the threat in the air. "You think you're tough? You think this is a game?" the shorter officer taunted. Jamal felt trapped. He glanced around the park. There were a few people watching, but most kept their distance. He wished someone would help him. He wished someone would speak up. "Just leave us alone," he said, his voice trembling. The tall officer laughed harshly. "Not going to happen. You don't get to decide what happens here." Jamal's heart raced. He knew he had to stay calm. He took another deep breath, trying to think clearly. He looked directly at the officers. "I just want to know why you're treating us like this." The shorter officer stepped even closer. "You don't get to ask questions. You get to listen," he said, his face inches from Jamal's. Jamal felt anger build inside him. This was wrong. He was not a criminal. He was just a kid playing basketball. He wanted to fight back, but he knew that could make things worse. The tall officer reached out, trying to grab the phone from Jamal's hand. Jamal quickly pulled it back. "Don't touch me," he shouted. The tension was thick. Jamal could feel the fear and anger in the air. He wished he could disappear, but he stood firm. He could not let them scare him into silence. The taller officer stepped back for a moment. He looked at Jamal with disdain. "You think this is a joke? You're about to find out how serious this is." Jamal looked around again. He saw a few more faces watching now. Someone recorded from a distance. He felt a little comfort. Maybe someone would help him. "Just leave us alone," he repeated, trying to keep his voice steady. "Make us," the shorter officer sneered. Jamal felt a surge of anger. He wanted to shout. He wanted to fight back. But he also knew that could lead to trouble. He took a deep breath. "I'm not going to move. I have the right to be here." The officers exchanged looks again. Jamal could see their irritation. They didn't like being challenged. He could feel the tension building, like a storm ready to break. Then, just as suddenly as it started, Jamal felt a shift. The taller officer stepped back a little. "You think you're so smart?" he said, his tone now mocking. Jamal stood tall, despite the fear inside. He was not going to let them intimidate him. "I'm not afraid of you," he declared, his voice firm. The officers laughed, but Jamal could see their confidence waver. They were not used to being challenged. Jamal realized he had power too, even if it felt small. Suddenly, the sound of sirens echoed in the distance. Jamal's heart sank again. He knew other officers were coming. This was not over. The taller officer turned to the shorter one. "Let's get out of here," he said. Jamal felt a mix of relief and anger. They were leaving, but it wasn't over. He wanted to fight back against what had just happened. As the officers walked away, Jamal lowered his phone. He felt shaken but proud. He had stood up for himself. He had not backed down. But in that moment, he knew he had to tell someone. He had to make this known. The world needed to see the truth. He took a deep breath and began to walk away from the park, determined to share his story. Jamal walked away from the park. His heart was still racing. He felt the weight of what had just happened. He needed to talk to someone. He needed help. He pulled out his phone and dialed his mother's number. Dr. Angela Thompson was not just his mom. She was a CIA agent. She was tough and smart. Jamal always admired her strength. When she answered, he could hear the concern in her voice. "Jamal, what's wrong?" "Mom, I'm at the park. The police they just came after me and my friends," he stammered. "They accused us of loitering. It got really scary." Angela's voice turned serious. "Are you safe? Where are the officers now?" "I'm okay. They left, but they were really aggressive. I recorded it." "I'm just shaken up," Jamal replied, trying to hold back tears. "Stay where you are." "I'm coming," Angela said. Jamal hung up, feeling a mix of fear and relief. He knew his mother would protect him, but he also felt nervous about what she would say. He hated that he had put her in this position. Angela drove fast through the neighborhood. She recalled her own experiences with racism during her career. She had seen too many people suffer. She had hoped her son would not face these same issues. As she neared the park, she spotted Jamal sitting on a bench, looking lost. Her heart ached for him. She parked quickly and rushed over. "Jamal," she called, her voice full of urgency. He looked up, his face pale. "Mom, I didn't know what to do." Angela knelt beside him. "I'm proud of you for standing your ground, but I'm also angry. This should not have happened," she said firmly. Jamal nodded. "I tried to explain, but they didn't listen. They just wanted to scare me." Angela felt the fire inside her. She knew this was not just about Jamal. It was about a system that repeatedly failed young black men. "We need to take action. This isn't just going to go away," she said. Jamal looked at her, uncertainty in his eyes. "What can we do?" "We will gather evidence. We will talk to people. We will show everyone what happened," Angela replied. Jamal felt a rush of hope. "You think that will matter?" "Absolutely. It's time to make our voices heard," she said, standing tall. Angela pulled out her phone. She began to call her contacts. She needed to gather support. She wanted to make sure Jamal felt safe. Meanwhile, Jamal felt a mix of emotions. He was scared, but he also felt empowered. He wanted to help his mother. He wanted to make a difference. As they walked back to the car, Jamal noticed a group of people nearby. They were watching. Some were taking photos. He felt exposed, but also supported. Angela noticed too. "Let's talk to them," she said. They approached the group. Angela introduced herself. "I'm Jamal's mother. He was just involved in an incident with the police. We need your help." The group listened closely. They expressed their support. Some shared their own stories of police encounters. Jamal felt a sense of community. "Together, we can make a difference," one woman said. Angela felt encouraged. "Let's gather more people. We need to make this known," she said. They spent the next hour talking with the group. They exchanged contact information and planned to meet again. Jamal felt a sense of purpose growing inside him. Later that night, as they sat together at home, Jamal opened up to Angela. "I didn't realize how many people felt the same way," he said. Angela smiled softly. "You're not alone in this. We will fight together, but we have to be smart about it." "I want to help," Jamal replied. "I know you do. Just remember, this fight is not just for you. It's for everyone who has faced this," Angela said. Jamal nodded. He could see the determination in her eyes. "What's our next step?" Angela took a deep breath. "First, we need to look at your video. We need to see everything clearly. Then we can gather more evidence." Jamal retrieved his phone and played the recording. As they watched, Jamal felt anger bubble inside him again. The officers had been so aggressive. Angela paused the video. "This is important. We will use this to show the truth," she said. They discussed the next steps. Angela would reach out to local organizations. They needed allies. Jamal would talk to his friends and gather their accounts. As the night wore on, Jamal felt a sense of unity forming. They were not just fighting for themselves. They were fighting for change. The next day, they set their plan into motion. Angela reached out to community leaders. She shared Jamal's story, seeking support. Jamal met with his friends. He encouraged them to speak up. Jamal felt nervous but excited. He knew this was just the beginning. He wanted to make a difference, not just for himself, but for others too. He could see the fire in his mother's eyes. They were a team now, ready to take on the world. As they moved forward, Jamal felt hope. Change was possible. Together, they could challenge the system. Together, they could fight for what was right. That night, as Jamal lay in bed, he thought about the future. He wanted to be brave. He wanted to make his mother proud. He wanted to be a voice for those who had been silenced. With determination in his heart, he closed his eyes, ready for the journey ahead. The next few days passed quickly. Jamal and Angela worked tirelessly. They gathered evidence and reached out to the community. They were determined to make a change. Angela spent time reviewing the video Jamal recorded. Each time she watched it, her anger grew. The officers had acted without respect. She knew that this was not just about her son. This was about a system that had failed too many people. One evening, they sat at the kitchen table. Papers were spread everywhere. Angela looked at Jamal. "We need to talk about what happened. This is not just an incident for you. It's part of a larger issue," she said. Jamal nodded. "I understand, but it's still hard to think about. I just wanted to play basketball." Angela placed her hand on his. "I know, but we can't ignore what happened. You faced racism. It's important to talk about it. It's important to recognize it." Jamal sighed. "I thought things were getting better. I thought people were changing." Angela shook her head. "Change takes time. We have to keep pushing for it. Your voice matters. Your story matters." Jamal felt a surge of determination. He wanted to make a difference. He wanted to help others who felt the same fear he had. "What can we do next?" he asked. Angela smiled. "We need to gather more support. We need to show the community that they can stand with us. We can organize a meeting. We can invite people to share their experiences." Jamal's eyes lit up. "That's a great idea. We can make a real impact." They began to plan the meeting. They created flyers and spread the word online. They reached out to friends, family, and local organizations. They wanted as many people as possible to join them. As the day of the meeting approached, Jamal felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. He had never done anything like this before. What if no one showed up? What if people didn't care? Angela noticed his uncertainty. "Jamal, it's normal to feel nervous. But remember, this is bigger than us. This is about our community," she said. The night of the meeting arrived. They held it at a local community center. Jamal and Angela set up chairs and prepared the space. Jamal looked around, hoping for a good turnout. As people began to arrive, Jamal's heart raced. Friends from school came, as well as parents and local activists. He felt overwhelmed but excited. Angela welcomed everyone. "Thank you all for coming. We need to talk about what happened to Jamal and others like him. This is a safe space for sharing," she said. Jamal took a deep breath. He felt the weight of the moment. He stood up, ready to speak. "I want to share my story. I was just playing basketball with my friends when the police came. They accused us of loitering. They were aggressive. I felt scared and alone," he said. The room was silent. People listened closely. Jamal continued, "I want everyone to know that this happens too often. It's not just me. It's many of us. We need to stand up and demand change." After Jamal spoke, others began to share their experiences. One mother talked about her son's encounter with police. A young man shared his story of being stopped for no reason. Each story echoed Jamal's feelings of fear and anger. Angela watched as people spoke. She felt proud of Jamal. He was brave. He was showing others they were not alone. As the meeting went on, Jamal felt a sense of community growing. They were all united in their struggle. They were all seeking change. After the meeting, people gathered in small groups. They exchanged contact information and discussed next steps. Jamal felt hopeful. They were building a network of support. Angela walked over to Jamal. "You did great tonight. You stood up and spoke your truth," she said, smiling. "Thanks, Mom. I couldn't have done it without you," Jamal replied. "Remember, this is just the beginning. We need to keep pushing for change," Angela said. Jamal nodded. "I know. I want to keep fighting." In the days that followed, they remained active. They organized more meetings and reached out to local media. They wanted their message to spread. They wanted to raise awareness. But not everyone was supportive. Some community members were skeptical. They questioned whether speaking out would make a difference. Jamal felt discouraged by the negativity. One evening, he and Angela sat together on the porch. "Why do some people not care?" Jamal asked, his voice filled with frustration. Angela thought for a moment. "Change is hard. Some people don't want to face uncomfortable truths. They may not see the problem because they haven't lived it," she explained. Jamal sighed. "But we can't give up. We have to keep trying." "Exactly. We will keep pushing." Your voice matters, and so do the voices of others, Angela said firmly. As they continued their work, they began to gain more traction. Local news covered their story. People started to take notice. They shared Jamal's video and spoke out against police brutality. The community began to rally behind them. They organized a protest to demand accountability from the police. Jamal felt excited but nervous. He knew this would be a big moment. On the day of the protest, Jamal and Angela joined the crowd. People held signs and chanted for justice. Jamal felt empowered. He was part of something larger. Angela stood beside him, strong and proud. "This is what we fought for, Jamal. Our voices are being heard," she said. Jamal smiled. He knew this was just the beginning. They had a long road ahead, but they were ready. Together, they would keep fighting for change. Together, they would push for a better future. The day of the protest arrived, and the energy in the air was electric. Jamal and Angela stood in the crowd. They were surrounded by people of all ages, all united for one cause. Signs filled the area, each one carrying messages of justice and change. As they prepared to speak, Jamal felt a mix of excitement and nerves. "What if I mess up?" he asked Angela, anxiety creeping into his voice. "You won't. Just speak from your heart. People are here to listen," she reassured him with a gentle smile. Angela stepped up to the microphone first. "Thank you all for being here today. We are here to stand against police brutality and demand accountability," she began. Her voice was strong, and she commanded attention. Jamal watched as people responded with cheers. He felt a surge of confidence. His mother was right. This was important. After Angela spoke, it was Jamal's turn. He stepped up to the microphone, gripping it tightly. "I want to share my story again," he said, his voice steady. "I was just a kid playing basketball when the police came after me. They treated me like a criminal. I didn't deserve that. No one does." The crowd listened intently. Jamal could see their faces watching him. He felt their support. "We need to stand together. We need to fight for justice. We need to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else," he declared, his voice growing stronger. The crowd erupted in applause. Jamal felt a wave of pride wash over him. He was not just speaking for himself. He was speaking for everyone who had faced injustice. After his speech, people began to march. The crowd moved through the streets, chanting for justice. Jamal felt empowered as he walked beside Angela. They held hands, a sign of their unity and strength. As they marched, they passed by the police station. Jamal noticed officers standing outside. Some looked uncomfortable. Others appeared indifferent. Jamal felt anger rise inside him again. "Look at them. They don't care," he said to Angela, frustration evident in his voice. Angela squeezed his hand. "We will keep pushing. We will not be silenced," she said firmly. The march continued, growing in size. More people joined as they moved through the neighborhood. The atmosphere was filled with hope and determination. Suddenly, tensions began to rise. A group of counter-protesters appeared, holding signs that opposed their message. Jamal felt a chill run down his spine. He had seen how quickly things could escalate. Angela noticed the shift in energy. "Stay close to me, Jamal," she said, her tone serious. "We need to keep calm." Jamal nodded, heart racing. The two groups faced off, and the atmosphere became charged. Shouts filled the air. Jamal felt fear creep in, but he also felt determined. Angela took a deep breath. "Remember why we're here. We need to stay focused on our message," she said, her voice steady. As the tension grew, Angela stepped forward, addressing both groups. "We are all here because we want change. We want to create a better future," she shouted. "Let's not let anger divide us." Jamal watched as some of the counter-protesters began to listen. He could see their expressions change. Maybe they were starting to understand. The noise began to die down, and the crowd fell silent. Slowly, people began to talk rather than shout. Jamal felt hope return. After a few moments, an older man from the counter-protest stepped forward. "I don't agree with everything you say, but I can see you care about your community," he said. "We need to listen to each other." The crowd erupted in applause again. Jamal felt a wave of relief wash over him. Maybe this could lead to understanding. After the confrontation, the protest continued peacefully. They marched to the city hall, where they planned to present a letter demanding change. Jamal felt excited. This was a big moment. When they arrived, Angela took the lead again. "We are here to demand accountability from our police. We want to see real change in our community," she stated, her voice strong. Jamal stood beside her, holding the letter they had written together. We want our voices to be heard. We want to feel safe in our own neighborhoods, he added. As they presented the letter to officials, Jamal felt a sense of accomplishment. They had taken a stand. They had made their voices heard. In the days that followed, their protest gained attention. Local media covered their story. People began to talk about police accountability and reform. Jamal felt proud to be a part of it. Angela used her connections to push for investigations into the officers involved in Jamal's incident. She knew it was important to hold them accountable. Jamal watched as his mother continued to fight for justice. One afternoon, they received news about the investigation. The police department announced a formal review of the officers' conduct. Jamal felt a mixture of hope and anxiety. Would anything really change? Angela gathered the community for another meeting. We need to keep pushing for accountability. We need to support each other, she said to the group. Jamal stood up. We can't let this be just a moment. We need to keep fighting for our rights, he said, his voice filled with passion. As the weeks passed, Jamal and Angela continued their work. They spoke at schools and community centers. They wanted to educate others about their rights. They wanted to inspire change. One evening, as they sat on the porch, Jamal turned to Angela. Thank you for everything. You've shown me how to stand up for what's right, he said. Angela smiled. You've shown me too, Jamal. Your courage is inspiring. We will keep fighting together. As they looked out at the stars, Jamal felt a sense of hope. They had made progress, but he knew there was still work to be done. Together, they would continue to fight for justice. Together, they would keep pushing for change. And together, they would create a better future for everyone. If you love the story, like the video and subscribe.